Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Jeffrey, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you.
Nice to see you.
Very well. Yeah, great to see you.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Any idea how long it'll be until Bhaktivedanta Manor is fully reopened? Any idea?
Oh, I think your guess is as good as mine. I think we never know none of us know what's happening with COVID, is it?
No. It's taken such a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you been for darshan so far?
I have, yeah, I have been, yeah.
Yeah. Today we went. The Goshala is open too, so it's even you can feed the cows now.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Hope to see you again.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. All right, I'm a bit tied up for time today. It was just so hectic.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. English.
Hare Krishna, Bhagavati Mataji.
Prabhuji, can I recite English, please?
Is that Jyoti?
Yes.
So Jyoti, you're requesting to read the English?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
All
much.
right. Anyone likes to read the Sanskrit today? Any volunteers for the Sanskrit? No?
You want?
Okay, Prabhuji, I will read.
This is Bhagavati Mataji.
I can do it. Someone else said as well. Let them try. We'll go
It's
to
okay, no, it's okay, Mataji. You can do it today, then I'll do it tomorrow. Then it's fine.
No, you go ahead, Mataji. You go ahead.
It's okay. Okay, Mataji, it's fine. You said first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got
Okay, thank you.
the verses up on the screen. You can start whenever you're ready. Let me mute everything. Just bear with me. Some of the other this computer of mine is not. Hare Krishna, can you hear me? Hare Krishna Mataji, can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Screen, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
I don't know what's happening, but Bhagavati Mataji, can you please carry on while I try to share my screen again?
I'm fine, but I can't see your sharing screen is not there.
Can you see it now?
It was
Yes, we
there.
can see it now.
Here.
All right, I've shared the screen.
Yeah, now I can see it.
All right, you can start, Mataji.
Okay. Shall I start or we wait?
Prabhuji, can you mute everyone, please?
Okay, let me mute everyone first, and then you unmute yourself, Mataji.
Otherwise,
Okay.
it's difficult to. Chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 10, Vibhuti Yoga, the opulence of the Absolute. Akaha Dashma Adhyaya. Shri Bhagwan Uvacha. Huya eva mahabaho shrunu me paramam vacha yatte ham priyamanaya bhaksha hit kamyaya. Who's doing the English?
The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjun. Because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained."
Prabhuji, are we not reading from 22?
Yes, we
Yeah,
are reading
22.
22.
Start from 22.
Yes, from 22.
I'm reading from 20. Or shall we do it? Okay. So shall we start from 22?
Yes,
Yes.
please.
Vedanam samavedosmi devanam asmi vasavaha Indriyanam manaschasmi bhutanam asmi chetana.
Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. And in living beings, I am the living force, consciousness.
10.23 Rudranam sankaschasmi viteso yaksha raksham vasunam pavaksha chasmi meru sikarinam aham.
Of all the Rudras, I am Lord Shiva. Of the Yakshas and the Rakshasas, I am the Lord of wealth, Kuvera. Of the Vasas, I am fire, Agni, and of mountains, I am Meru.
10.24 Purodasmacha mukhyam mam vidhi partha prakashpatim shenaninam aham skandha sarasam asmi sagraha.
Of priest, O Arjun, know me to be the chief, Brahaspati. Of generals, I am Kartikeya, and of bodies of water, I am the ocean.
10.25 Maharsinam Bhrugu Aham Kiram Asmi Ekam Aksharam Yajnanam Japa Yajnosmi Stiyavari Varanam Himalaya.
Of the great sages, I am Bhrigu. Of vibrations, I am the transcendental Om. Of sacrifices, I am the chanting of the holy names, Japa. And of immovable things, I am the Himalayas.
10.26 Ashvatam Sarva Vrikshanam Devasinam Cha Narada Gandharvavanam Chitrata Siddhanam Kapilo Muni.
Of all trees, I am the banyan tree, and of the sages among the demigods, I am Narada. Of the Gandharvas, I am Chitrarata, and among perfected beings, I am the sage Kapila.
10.26 Ucheswaram Sam Ashvanam Vidhi Mam Amrodbhavam Airavatam Gajendranam Naranam Cha Naradipam.
Of horses know me to be Uchishrava, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephants I am Airavata, and among men I am the monarch.
10.28 Ayudhyanam Aham Vajram Dhenunam Asmi Kamadhav Prajanas Asmi Kandarpa Sarpanam Asmi Vasukhi.
Of weapons I am the thunderbolt, among cows I am the Surabhi. Of causes for procreation I am Kandarpa, the love of God, the god of love, and of serpents I am Vasuki.
10.29 Anantas chasmi naganam varuno yadasam aham pitranam aryam chasmi yama samya matam aham.
Of the many-hooded Nagas I am Ananta, and among the Kotiks I am the demigod Varuna. Of departed ancestors I am Aryama, and among the dispensers of law I am Yama, the lord of death.
10.30 Praladasa chasmi daityam kala kalayatnam aham mrignanam cha mrigendroham vainatyascha pakshinam.
Among the dangerous demons I am the devoted Prahlad, among subduers I am Time, among beasts I am the lion, and among birds I am Garuda.
10.31 Pavana Pavitram Asmi Rama Sastra Pritam Aham Chashanam Makras Chasmi Shrotasam Asmi Janavi.
Of purifiers I am the wind, of the wielders of weapons I am Ram, of fishes I am the shark, and of flowing rivers I am the Ganges.
10.32 Sarganam Adire Anascha Madhyam Chaivam Arjuna Adhyatma Vidya Vidyanam Vada Pravadatam Aham.
Of all creations, I am the beginning and the end and also the middle. O Arjun, of all sciences, I am the spiritual science of the self, and among logicians, I am the conclusive truth.
10.33 Aksharanam akarosmi dvanda samasikhyascha aham eva kshaya kalo tatham
Of,
vishvato sorry.
of letters, I am letter A, and among compound words, I am the dual compound. I am also inexhaustible time, and of creators, I am Brahma.
10.38 Mrityu sarva haraschaham ubhavascha bhavashyatam kriti srivaksa narinam shritam medadrita kshama.
I am all devouring death, and I am the generating principle of all that is yet to be. Among women, I am fame, fortune, fine speech, memory, intelligence, steadfastness, and patience.
10.35 Prahasama tatha samnam Gayatri chadashma aham Masanam marga srirosam Rutnam kushum kara.
Of the hymns in the Samaveds, I am the Brihatsama, and of poetry I am the Gayatri. Of months I am Margashirsha, November, December, and of seasons I am flower-bearing spring.
10.36 Tujanam chalayatam asmi Tejasvinam aham Jayosmi vyavasayosmi Sattvam sattvavatam aham.
I am also the gambling of cheats, and of the splendid I am the splendor. I am victory, I am adventure, and I am the strength of the strong.
10.37 Risinina vasudevosmi Pandavanam dhananjaya Muninam api aham vyasa Kavinam usano kavi.
Of the descendants of Vrishni I am Vasudeva, and of the Pandavas I am Arjun. Of the sages I am Vyas, and among great thinkers I am Ushina.
10.38 Dandamayatmas asmi Niti asmi jigishatam Manunam chaivasmi guyanam Gnanam gnanavatam aham.
Among all means of suppressing lawlessness I am punishment, and of those who seek victory I am morality. Of secret things I am silence, and of the wise I am the wisdom.
10.39 Yachapi sarva bhutanam bijam tad aham arjuna tad asti vinasya maya bhutam characharam.
Furthermore, O Arjun, I am the generating seed of all existences. There is no being moving or non-moving that can exist without me.
10.40 Nantoste ma divyanam nam parantapa esha tu desho sat prokto vibhute vistaro maya.
O mighty conqueror of enemies, there is no end to my divine manifestations. What I have spoken to you is but a mere indication of my infinite opulences.
10.1 Yad yad vibhuti mam sattvam Srimad urichitam eva va tad tad eva vagacha tvam mamu teja ishna sambhavam.
Know that all opulent, beautiful and glorious creations spring from but a spark of my splendor.
10.42 Athava bhanu netena kim dhyane tvarajuna vishkapya adam krishnam ekam sena kiho jagat.
But what need is there, Arjun, for all this detailed knowledge? With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe.
Om Tat Sat Iti Srimad Bhagavatam Gita Upanishastu Brahma Vidyam Yoga Shastri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Vibhuti Yogo Namaham Dashmo Adhyaya Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, devotees.
Thank you, Bhagavati Mataji. Thank you, Jyoti Mataji. Wonderful recitation. So we will carry on. Let me share my screen. Sorry, just bear with me. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji.
All
Yes,
right, all right. Something just happened to my screen anyway. Let me stop the sharing. All right, wonderful. So welcome everyone to today's session. I'm not sure if there's anyone new that joined us today. Is there anyone new that's joining us for the first time? No, so all of us are seasoned listeners. So today we will carry on from chapter 10, the opulence of the absolute. And we'll be doing text number 29 today. But before we do that, we'll say the Mangalacharam prayers first. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Malitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpa Turubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pashtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastachadi Shatarine. So today we're reading text number 29. Anantas Chasmi Naganam Varano Yadasamaham Pitranam Aryama Chasmi Yamaha Samyamatam Aham. Of the many hooded Nagas, I am Ananta. And among the aquatics, I am the demigod Varuna. Of departed ancestors, I am Aryama. And among the dispensers of law, I am Yama, the Lord of Death. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Among the many hooded Naga serpents, Ananta is the greatest, as is the demigod Varuna among the aquatics. They both represent Krishna. There is also a planet of Pita's ancestors, presided over by Aryama, who represents Krishna. There are many living entities who give punishment to the miscreants, and among them Yama is the chief. Yama is situated in a planet near this earthly planet. After death, those who are very sinful are taken there, and Yama arranges different kinds of punishments for them. So just to put this text in purport, in context, we are in this section of the Bhagavad Gita, and as the title says, the opulence of the absolute. Krishna is describing his opulences, and he's describing his opulences in terms of different physical things and different entities, objects, beings that we can relate to in our relative sense of perception. Because as Krishna says, or Prabhupada explains, most of us are not in the position to appreciate directly the attributes of Krishna in his full and original personality. So first we have to go through the process of appreciating him and perceiving him in the creation. And Krishna is giving all of these different opulences. And in this particular verse, he's explaining those opulences in terms of different entities. The first one is Ananta. The second one is Varuna, who is the demigod in charge of the aquatics or the ocean. The third is Aryama, who is one of the ancestors and one of the sons of Aditi. And lastly, in terms of a very prominent and fearful demigod, Yamaraj, the Lord of Death. And Krishna is explaining because in each of their categories, each of these personalities being described are most prominent. The Lord Ananta, who I will explain a bit more about who he is very prominent. And Aryama is one of the ancestors, and Yamaraj is obviously, because he's the Lord of Death, he is very, very prominent. Just a few points before I speak about Ananta. In our Vaishnav culture, there is one very important principle in terms of our devotees perceive themselves and perceive their abilities. And whatever wonderful things a Vaishnav or a devotee can accomplish, they never see those opulences or those qualities or those greatness coming from them, but they see it as coming through them. Just like if a spiritual master, let's take for example our own Param Guru, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada, we all know, he accomplished practically unfathomable feats in terms of the literatures he was able to translate and produce, the temples he's built, the disciples he made. If one just does a detailed study, you can see these are unparalleled, superhuman accomplishments. But Srila Prabhupada, he would never take any credit for any of his accomplishments. He would always say that this is happening by the mercy of my Guru Maharaj. All of these disciples that he was receiving, it says, my Guru Maharaj just sent you all to me. The books he's translated, he said, I never wrote these books. Krishna wrote these books. I am simply, doing something. So one who is in high consciousness, whatever accomplishments or whatever good qualities they have, they see it as just coming through them and not from them, especially achievements. So in one sense, Krishna is describing these various personalities and living entities and objects just to give us an understanding that ultimately all of this is coming from Krishna. So when we see some incredible feats or incredible qualities, we can get a glimpse that this is just a glimpse of Krishna's opulence. Therefore, Krishna says later, this is simply a spark of my splendor. A spark in a fire is just a very tiny aspect of the fire. So Krishna is giving us some spark of his opulences by speaking about them in relation to other personalities. So the first personality that Krishna speaks about here is Ananta. Ananta. Any of y'all would like to give me your understanding of who Ananta is? And what is your understanding of who Ananta Dev is?
Sheshnag?
Sheshnag, yes.
Balram?
Balaram, okay.
Also known as Adidesha, Adishesha,
Adishesha, yes. Mhm.
because he got thousands of heads, isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, yes. Anyone else likes to explain who they consider to be Ananta?
Nityananda Prabhu?
Nityananda Prabhu. Okay. Very nice answers. All of you are correct. All of you are
Then
correct.
Lakshman, I think Lakshman as well.
Lakshman as well? Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So I'll read one verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, text 120. There's a beautiful verse in purport by Srila Prabhupada describing Lord Ananta. Setananta Shesha Bhakta Avatara Ishvarera Seva Vina Nahi Jana Jane Ara. That Ananta Shesh is the devotee incarnation of Godhead. He knows nothing but service to Lord Krishna. Such an interesting statement. Lord Ananta Shesh is the devotee incarnation of Godhead. He knows nothing but service of Lord Krishna. So two very important aspects of who Lord Ananta is here. Ananta Shesh is the devotee incarnation, and we'll talk a bit more about why devotee incarnation. And secondly, his mood, his quality is he knows nothing but service to Lord Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada gives a beautiful purport to this wonderful verse explaining Ananta. And I'll read it quickly. Srila Jiva Goswami in his Krishna Sandarbha has described Sheshanag as follows. Sri Ananta Dev has thousands of faces and is fully independent, always ready to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He waits upon him constantly. Sankarshan is the first expansion of Vasudeva, and because he appears by his own will, is called Swarat, fully independent. He is therefore infinite and transcendental to all limits of time and space. He himself appears as the thousand-headed Sesha. In the Skaranda Purana, in the Ayodhya Mahatmya chapter, the demigod Indra requested Lord Shesha, who was standing before him as Lakshman, please go to your eternal abode, Vishnu Loka, where your expansion Shesha with the serpentine hoods is also present. After thus dispatching Lakshman to the regions of Patala, Lord Indra returned to his abode. This quotation indicates that the Sankarshan of the quadruple form descends with Lord Ram as Lakshman. When Lord Ram disappears, Seshanag again separates himself from the personality of Lakshman Sesha, then returns to his own abode in the Patala regions, and Lakshman returns to his abode in Vaikuntha. There's so much being described here, so if you're ever getting a little confused, please bear with me. We'll just try to expand upon it. The Laghu Bhagavatamrita explains the following description. The Sankarshan of the second group of quadruple forms appears as Ram, taking with him Sesha, who bears the global spheres. There are two features of Sesha. One is the bearer of the globes and the other is the bedstead servitor. The Sesha who bears the globes is a potent incarnation of Sankarshan, and therefore is sometimes also called Sankarshan. The bedstead feature of Sesha always presents himself as the eternal servitor of the Lord. So it may sound somewhat technical, this description. I will try to explain it a bit more simpler in terms of this diagram. The Lord is, as we were discussing recently on a Friday session we had, there's inconceivable potencies and innumerable incarnations. So we first have Swayam Rup the original form of Godhead in his form as a cowherd boy in Vrindavan. And this form is known as Swayam Prakash. Original, Swayam in original, in his own manifestation. And then that original expansion sometimes expands himself directly into other expansions that is called Prabhava Prakash, like when he expands when he dances with each of the gopis. But we won't get into that so much. The first expansion of Krishna is Lord Balaram, and that's called Vaibhava Prakash. That means same potency. Like Prabhupada said, Krishna and Balaram are identical in all respects. The only difference is Balaram is white in color. So that Lord Balaram, who is a direct and practical equal expansion of Krishna, expands further. But I just want to stop on that one point here, which we were trying to make, and you would have seen in the purport. That is the devotee incarnation of the Lord. Now, there's one aspect of Lord Balaram we have to understand why Sheshanag is devotee expansion. And I spoke about that briefly yesterday. If you go and ask Lord Krishna, who is God? He will say, I am God. You go and ask Lord Balaram, who is God? He will say, Krishna is God. And then you ask Lord Balaram, who are you? He says, I am a devotee of God. So Lord Balaram, although he is identical to Lord Krishna in every respect besides the color, there is a big difference in the mood. Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. He acts and he understands that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But Lord Balaram is in a different mood. He is in the mood of serving Krishna. And everything, all expansions that come from Balaram, they are in that mood. And then from Lord Balaram, we got what is called the Tat Ekatma Roop. Some is called the Vilas forms, and that the Swamsha. I don't want to get too technical because I may lose you all. But essentially, from Lord Balaram comes the four-armed Vishnu forms, which are direct expansions of Lord Balaram. And from him, you get what is called the first quadruple Chaturvyuha expansions, Vasudev, Sankarshan, Pradyumna, and Aniruddha. And it is from the Sankarshan of the Chaturvyuha expansions that ultimately Shesh and Ananta Dev comes. So that gives us a brief explanation of who Ananta Dev is. And just in terms of Lakshman, he said that Lord Shesh or Lakshman comes from Lord Shesha. And there's a brief description that when Lord Ram came, Sheshanag manifested as Lakshman. And Lakshman, when he was about to leave, from his mouth came Sheshnag. Sheshnag went back down what is called the Patala Road, because the entire universe sits on his head, and Lakshman descended back to the Vaikuntha regions. So in one sense, it is a bit technical to understand Ananta and Lord Shesh, but Lord Ananta is an aspect of the Lord coming through from Lord Balaram, from the Chaturvyuha, through Sankarshan. And there's two aspects of this Sheshanag, as Prabhupada explains in the purport. This first aspect is, as Sheshanag, he carries the entire universe on his hood. And the other aspect of servitor, he is the bed of the Lord. We always see this picture of Lord Vishnu on his bed, resting. And his bed is the Sheshanag with 1,000 hoods. So he's performing many services, And one of the services, or two prominent, is he holds the entire universe, and then the second one is the bed. And it is said that Seshanag, one of the things he does most often is he chants the glories of Krishna. And he has an unlimited number of hoods. And it is said since the dawn of when he was about, he's been describing the glories of Lord Krishna. Until today, he has never stopped, never stopped. And we all know that when Vasudeva carried Krishna across the Jamuna, Seshanag was there. And then on the right-hand side here, you see a picture where he's carrying the entire universe on his hoods. There's some interesting discussion about this, but we won't get into it. Prabhupada talks about the law of gravity and how things stay in position. And Prabhupada gives a nice example of how Lord Asesha is responsible for gravity. There's one interesting pastime in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is said that when Krishna was dancing on the head of Kaliya during his pastimes, Lord Balaram laughed. There's this wonderful pastime where Krishna is on Kaliya. All of the residents of Vrindavan, they are grief-stricken. And there is Lord Balaram, and he's laughing, smiling. And people were thinking, oh, because Balaram is smiling means that maybe there won't be much problem. Krishna will be all right. And they felt better. But in Balaram's mind, he was thinking something else. And he was thinking, Krishna never plays with me in my form of Sheshanag. But now he's playing with this common mundane snake named Kaliya. Because Sheshanag comes from Balaram. And he's thinking, in my form as Sesha, as a Naga, Krishna never plays with me. But yet he's playing with this mundane snake Kaliya. And he was feeling not so happy. But as he was thinking like this, he was smiling, thinking, what will Krishna do? It helped the Vrajavasis because they forgot about the suffering and the anxiety. But this same desire of Lord Balaram, it got fulfilled in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We all know that some of you must be known when Nimai was a young baby in the house of Sachimata. He once went into the courtyard, and when his mother came out, she saw Lord Chaitanya playing with a big snake. And he was playing it without any fear. And he was having a wonderful time playing with the snake. And when his mother saw it, as any mother would feel when she sees a baby playing with a big, frightening snake, she was petrified. And she began to call out. But very quickly, when Mother Sachi started to call out like this, the snake disappeared. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains this incident very beautifully in one of his books, Navadvip Dham Mahatmya. He said when Lord Chaitanya did appear, he played with Lord Ananta Shesh that took a form similar to a snake. Lord Ananta in ancient times did tapasya to enter Sri Navadvip Dham. Lord Ananta wanted the darshan of Shri Shri Radha and Krishna and asked Lord Vishnu, how would it be possible? So that same Lord Ananta, who is serving the Lord constantly, he had the opportunity to play with the Lord. Oh, we've only had time to discuss Lord Ananta. So we'll talk briefly about Yamaraj. Yamaraj, we all know, is the Lord of death. That Lord who everyone is petrified of. Everyone besides the devotees of the Lord. So this Yamaraj, who is the Lord of Death, he's one of the Mahajans, the great authorities of Bhakti, one of the great authorities of Bhakti. And being a great authority of Bhakti, he also understands completely the principles of Bhakti. And he himself is a great devotee of the Lord. And we see this aspect of him being a great devotee of Lord Krishna in many different features. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, or in the past Mahabharata pastime, we know that Yamaraj appeared as Vidura. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, he also displays many of his qualities when Ajamil when he was about to be taken by the Yamadutas, and they were stopped by the Vishnudutas. The Yamadutas were very, very confused about what really happened there, because they thought they were dealing with a sinful person. But yet they were stopped from taking him away by the Vishnudutas. So they went to their Lord Yamaraj, and they asked him what really happened there. And there Yamaraj explains the beautiful glories of the holy names and devotional service. And there you see one of his qualities as an authority of Bhakti come out. So everyone is trying to avoid the capture by Yamaraj, because Yamaraj punishes them. And there are few stories of people who try to do that. Prabhupada tells one story of one man. He thought to himself he wants to escape the capture of Yamaraj. So he smeared his body full of stool. And he said, when the Yamadutas come for me, I'll be smelling so horrible that they won't touch me. And Prabhupada tells a story and he laughs and he says, they think it's that easy. No. There was one man who was a great sculptor. He was a great sculptor, and he thought to himself, he will confuse Yamaraj and the Yamadutas when they come for him. And he made many, many identical features of himself, and he stood among them, sculptors. When the Yamadutas came, they really couldn't figure out who was the man. They didn't know who they would take. And this man was feeling very happy with himself that he would be able to escape Yamaraj's and Yamaduta's death. So in their confusion, they called Yamaraj, and Yamaraj came and he looked and he asked, what is the problem? They said, we do not know who the man is because everyone looks identical. He is such a great sculptor. Then Yamaraj said, oh, okay. He said, what do you mean? Can't you see this sculptor is so full of defects? This is like an amateur sculptor who sculpted this one. And then he started to criticize each of the sculptors. And this proud sculptor, as he was hearing Yamaraj criticize him, he became angry and he said, what are you saying about my sculptures? And immediately Yamaraj pointed to his servant and said, there he is, capture him and take him. So everyone besides the devotees of the Lord, they come under the capture of Yamaraj. But the devotees of the Lord, Yamaraj doesn't go anywhere near them because they are always protected by the Lord. So I wanted to say something about Varuna Dev too, but I just know, I think I'll rather stop and take questions and reflections from you all about what we've discussed today. And then if there's time, we can say more if needed.
It would be nice, Prabhuji, if you do say something on Varuna there.
Okay.
Please.
Varuna,
that is my question.
Okay. lord of the aquatics, the ocean. He is very revered because the ocean is such an immense, formidable physical creation of the Lord. So in that sense, and water by nature is a very powerful force. So by nature, Varuna Dev is very powerful. But in the pastimes of the Lord, there's two pastimes that stand out, that show that even Varuna Dev's power comes through Krishna. And one is in the pastimes of Lord Krishna, you know, the son of Sandipani Muni. He was captured by the ocean. And Krishna went there, and Krishna did what he had to do and brought himself back. And that's clearly showed even Varuna Dev. But for me, one of the most striking pastimes of Lord Varuna Dev was with Lord Ram, where he was being obstructive to Lord Ram crossing the ocean to go and rescue Sita Devi. The Lord very politely asked him for his help, but he was being stubborn, not wanting to help Lord Ram. And then Lord Ram became very angry. And Lord Ram said he will, with his red burning eyes, he said he will dry up the complete ocean and completely obliterate all aquatics and all living beings in the ocean. And at that point, Varuna realized who Lord Ram was, and that he was just a simple demigod who had been delegated some power, and his power was nothing in comparison with Lord Ram. And then when he came to his senses, he allowed Lord Ram to accomplish his mission. Obviously, we can say so much more, but those are two wonderful pastimes in relation to Varuna Dev that gives us an indication that although he is so great, in the presence of the Lord he is insignificant. And whatever power he had was not coming from him, but through him. Ultimately, the opulences and potency is coming from the Lord. Okay, I'll stop there.
Was he the ruler of the sky as well?
Varuna Dev?
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Was
I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I whatever I've read, he was the control of
Ocean
the
only.
aquatics. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Hare Krishna. I may look up, and if you have any other references as being control of the sky, you can also share with the group.
I think it's in the Vedas. They talked about that, if I remember once, but
Okay.
I'm not sure 100%. I thought he was the creator and the ruler of the sky. Maybe I was.
Possibly. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from anyone?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Emma Mataji.
Did Lord Shankarshan, was he the first one that the Bhagavatam was recited to? I don't know where I kind of have this in my memory. And was the Chaturthi Shlok initially recited to Shankarshan, Lord Shesha?
I'm not sure. We all know that Bhagavatam is spoken eternally, and Bhagavatam is spoken in other planets, in other universes, in other time periods. Sometimes Bhagavatam is 200,000 verses. Currently in our planet is 18,000 verses. I'm not sure, Mataji. It's possible, but I can't remember. So you said the Chatur Sloki Bhagavatam is spoken to Lord Shankarshan first. I will look it up. I'm not sure.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, sorry, Mataji.
In the purport it says the departed ancestors.
Yes.
They have a planet of their own?
Interestingly enough, it seems to be, because in the Bhagavatam, there's a section in the 5th canto, 18th chapter, where it is said that Shukadev spoke to Iranyamaya Varsh. So there are different Varshas. You get Bharat Varsh, and there is one Varsh called Hiranyamaya Varsh. And it is said there the Lord lives in the form of Kurma, the tortoise.
Okay.
And there he is always worshipped in devotional service by Aryama. You can see in the Bhagavatam, 5th canto, chapter 18, from text 29 onwards, there is some beautiful verses that are recited by Aryama. He's explained to be the son of Aditi also. But in terms of your question, yes, there's a region of Varsh called Hiranyamaya Varsh, in which he resides, in which he it seems to have something to do with ancestors.
Okay, so who goes there? I mean, as with reincarnation, obviously depends on how you live your life. So either you go to Vaikuntha or you come back into this world.
Yeah.
So who goes there?
Who lives in Hiranyamaya Varsh and who goes there? I'll have to look up a bit more. I mean, it seems from Bhagavatam that it's some ancestors go there, but it also seems that it's a planet from the description of the Bhagavatam where devotional service is practiced there. So I'll read up a bit more on it, and I'll try to share on our forum that who goes to Hiranyamaya Varsh.
Because you know, it our culture, we do lots of pitru. We used to. But with, of course, ISKCON, we say that if you worship Krishna, you don't need to do all of those.
Yeah, that may be slightly different. There's Pitraloka. There's Pitraloka, where that's the planet of the ancestors. But Hiranyamaya Varsh may be different from that. I'd like to read up a bit more to find out the distinction.
Okay, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna,
Vrindavan Chandra Prabhu.
Yes.
You know, where is this Pitruloka situated?
Pitraloka, in terms of the various planetary systems.
Yeah.
I can't remember off the top of my head. There's this diagram I have which shows off each of the planetary systems. Let me I don't want to speculate and speak out of
okay.
I will find out and also drop a note in our forum about Pitraloka.
Sure. Thank you, Prabhu.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, Mataji.
In the purport, which there's a sentence which says there are many living entities who give punishment to the miscreants.
Yeah.
Now, are you able to expand on this, please? I'd like to know whether the living entities and the miscreants are in this planet Earth or in another planet.
Well, they can be different ways of looking. When I saw that verse, that statement, I thought of it in different ways. One way is, is Adhyatma, Adibhotika, Adidevika. So miseries caused by natural elements is the Adidevika. Miseries caused by other living entities is Adibhotika. And miseries caused by the mind and body is Adhyatmika. So one way you can look at that is, like it is said, mosquitoes give punishment and misery to living entities. And it is said that there is one demigod in charge of mosquitoes, just mosquitoes. All right. So one can read that due to one's karma, there are different demigods, different living entities that punish one, give one suffering. Also, we can look at it in terms of the Bhagavatam's description. Also in the which Purana is it that describes
Garud Purana,
Garud Purana, that describes the living entities departure when it leaves the body, and the number of days in which it suffers, in which it gives many experiences, many sufferings. There are different living entities which give punishment there, also as described in the Bhagavatam. So one can see it in different ways. That's how I saw it when I read that statement. There are many delegated living entities that are destined to give one punishment. I heard an interesting statement in one devotee's class the other day. he said, with the moment we take birth in this earth planet, there is at least one living entity assigned to make sure that they give us a particular amount of suffering. So, yeah, you can look at it. That's my understanding on that statement. Many living entities who give punishment. But the chief is Yamaraj, because he's the ultimate decider of the punishment that's given.
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the lovely class. I just am a bit confused. I think I remember the Sanskrit word Varuna as wind. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm confused with another word.
Vayu is wind, isn't it?
Vayu is wind as Varun. With I think Hanumanji. If I remember the Hanuman Chalisa, somewhere it says kind of Varun as wind, or maybe it's something with
incarnation of Vayu, wind god, is incarnate, but not Varuna. I have not heard in.
Okay.
Sometimes clouds are referred to as, because clouds carry water. So, but definitely Hanuman Chalisa is Pavan Sut. That is, Pavan means Vayu.
Pavan means Vayu. Okay, so Varuna has nothing to do with wind then.
No, nothing.
Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhu, I wanted to ask you, is it correct that when you actually wear the Tulsi Mala, the Yamadutas cannot touch you?
That's true, yes.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Any other questions? Yes, Mataji.
Last question, yes. I thought that when you die, only Yamraj comes to collect you. So who are these Yamduts?
Yamadutas are the messengers of Yamaraj. They take the soul to the planet of Yamaraj.
Okay.
And there they get the punishment.
Okay, I thought Yamraj came on a sort of on riding on a buffalo, and then he takes you away.
According to Bhagavatam, and specifically in the pastime of Ajamila, it is described that the Yamadutas come. His messengers come.
Messengers come.
Yeah. It's possible sometimes he may go personally, because there are some instances in the scripture where it talks about Yamaraj coming to give punishment, but generally he has his messengers called the Yamadutas, and he resides in Yamalok, and they bring him in front of Yamaraj, and then they get the punishment there.
So we all go before Yamraj. Everybody goes.
No, not if you're a devotee, Mataji.
Not the devotees.
No, no.
Goodness, because I read on a very minor form of Garud Puran, it showed so much bad things that are happening, but this was only for those people who have cheated or done
Yeah,
wrong
miscreants.
in life.
Prabhupada says miscreants here. Devotees, no. They're just like Ajamil, although he was so sinful, because he chanted the holy name of Krishna, the Yamadutas thought, so only his sinful activities, they thought he's a perfect candidate to go to Yamaloka. They came to fetch him, but the Vishnudutas came and said, no, he chanted the name of Narayan, you can't take him. So the devotees of the Lord never go to Yamaloka.
Oh, that's very good thing I learned today. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Prabhuji, like when Pandavas,
yes,
like, when they left the Hastinapur and everything, they left everything behind.
Yes.
And they went on a journey, and then the Draupadi, she fell first, because she was very ego of, her beauty. And then one by one, each and every Pandavas, they fell, they died.
Yes.
But then Yudhishthira, he was a Dharmaraj, but then he also has to visit Mrityalo, we have to visit Yamdut, just for a brief moment, because he lied, that there's Narova Kunjarava, when he was asked about question about Ashwasthama, was it was it
The
an
elephant,
elephant was
yeah,
was a
yeah.
son, but then because he lied for that one sentence, you know, he still has to go to Yamaraj, you know, because he in all his life he was true to his nature and dharma and everything. And then when he asked questions, you know, then Yamaraj is actually explained to Yudhishthira, you know, say why each and every Pandavas and Draupadi, they had to go into the Yamaloka because of, you know, what their offense is.
Yes. I want to say something about, yeah, that's a very good question. Very, very good question, Mataji. And were you finished or you want to say something?
Yes, yeah, Prabhuji. So I'm just saying that, you know, so even though they were like, you know, very pious, they were Krishna's devotee, but then because they had that offense, they still have to visit anyway, because in a Garud Purana, it mentions that, you know, when you die, you know, and then on each different gates, that's how you enter into that Yamraj city or his palace or his abode, whatever, you know. And it was a really good description, but then according to your karma that you suffer, you know. So one of the, I don't know where, but I read about it. So you will need like a bone, like just for a 24 hours, like, you know, certain ants or certain insects, they just live for a 24 hours. So then that's how you finish your karma. And then, so whatever you have done in this life, you finished your karma like that, you know. So
yeah, I want to comment on that. That's
okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Quite an important point you're raising, because
okay,
it would seem almost some contradiction here.
Yeah.
That the devotees never have to go to Yamaloka.
Okay, Prabhu.
Yet there seem to be some instances where the devotees, like in the case of the Pandavas, where they had to go. And some people may think, yeah, even a devotee does karma. And surely, if you take the example from the Pandavas, they'll have to go and incur some karma. But it is explained by our acharyas, especially by the Goswamis and Rupa Goswami, that sometimes just to explain the principle of karma, because Krishna, he uses his devotees sometimes or oftentimes to teach certain lessons, for the purposes of teaching, you know, the principle of karma and the principle of punishment. He can, and as we've seen, he explained the example of Yamaraj and the Pandavas, he can do it, but as a fact, as a definitive fact, as stated by Rupa Goswami, one who is a pure devotee of the Lord, as Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharma Parityajya Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tvam Sarva Bhavebhyo Masuchaha. I just forget the last line. But Krishna, Mokshishyami Masuchaha. So Krishna is saying, do not fear, I will protect you. I will free you from all sinful reactions if you surrender unto me. Do not fear. So some devotees think, oh, that means only to the pure devotees. What if someone like Kanishta Adhikari or Madhyamat Adhikari, second class or third class devotees, do they still have to go to hell? No, not according to our Vaishnavas, because Krishna, he takes all of that karma of the devotee, and according to how he sees fit, he will allocate that karma. But the devotee does not suffer in Yamaloka like an ordinary living entity. Never. Never. The devotee never suffers. Krishna will, a pure devotee will never have to go to Yamaraj, and the pure devotee will never suffer, because Krishna takes that pure devotee directly back to his abode. There may be some question that some people have about devotees that were on the path of devotional service, but even such devotees, from what I've read, they are under the control of Krishna's internal potency, and Krishna deals with them differently.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. All right, we will stop here. We've gone a bit over time. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your questions. And we shall meet again tomorrow to discuss the next verse, which is text number 30. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Gaura
Thank you
Bhaktivinoda
very much,
Jai.
Prabhu.
Thank you,
All
Prabhuji. Thank you, all the
Premanandi.
devotees, for